You're here, and we're especially grateful to Lower Richland High School for making this facility available to us tonight. I want to welcome you to the second annual State of the Penny report. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to subject you in the beginning to about maybe 15 minutes of my introductory remarks, which will be the most boring part of this evening. The real meat and the excitement will come later. As most of you know, in November 2012, the voters of Richland County approved an additional 1 cent county sales tax to finance massive transportation improvements over 22 years. And these improvements will relate to the county's traffic and public roads, transit service, and bikeways, greenways, and pedestrian walkways. The Transportation Improvement Program is generally referred to simply as the penny. And you can find information now about the penny and the current status of its implementation on the internet at richlandpenny.com. Richland Penny, all one word, richlandpenny.com. That's a good resource for you to have in mind when you have questions or wonder where things stand. The 2012 referendum was the culmination of multiple transportation improvement hearings, studies, and citizen discussions that had been in process since 2007. But the purpose of the referendum was not only to increase the county sales tax, it was to approve the application of the new revenue to specific projects designated after years of government and citizen efforts to identify and prioritize necessary transportation improvements. In other words, voters' approval of the referendum did not mean the penny would generate undesignated revenue that would then be subject to lobbying and debate to determine which transportation improvements the penny would finance. And I make that point because there seems to be some confusion on that issue. Tonight's meeting is organized and sponsored by the Transportation Penny Advisory County of Richland County Council, often referred to by its acronym as TPAC. And I am Hayes Mizell, chair of the committee. The Transportation Advisory Committee is a voluntary group of 15 citizens, some appointed by various Richland County municipalities, some appointed by county council. And I'd now like to introduce the committee members who are here. Not all of them are here. And I ask them to stand as I call their names. Appointed by Arcadia Lakes, Bobby Williams. Appointed by Blythewood, Bill Wiseman. Appointed by the City of Columbia, Todd Avant. Appointed by the City of Columbia, Trevor Bowers. Appointed by the City of Columbia, Virginia Sanders, who is also Secretary of the TPAC. Appointed by Eastover, Jim Faber. Appointed by Forest Acres, Carol Kosaski, who is not here. Appointed by Irmo, Bob Brown. Appointed by County Council, Elise Bidwell. Appointed by County Council, Jennifer Bishop, who is not here. Appointed by County Council, Natalie Britt. Appointed by County Council, Derek Huggins. Derek is also Vice Chair of the TPAC. Appointed by County Council, J.T. McLawhorn. Appointed by County Council, Dorothy Sumter. And I was also appointed by County Council. Thank you. This group of volunteers meets on the fourth Monday of each month at 5:30, usually in the fourth floor conference room of the Richland County Administration Building at the corner of Hardin and Hampton Streets in Columbia. The meetings are open to the public, and any citizen who attends may sign up to make a brief statement. The broad purpose of the Transportation Penny Advisory Committee, or TPAC, is to review, comment on, and provide recommendations to Richland County Council regarding the council's use of the 1 cent additional sales tax that voters approved in the November 2012 referendum. I want to emphasize that the TPAC does not have authority to make decisions about which roads are repaired, improved, or paved. That authority lies with the 11-member Richland County Council. Also, the TPAC does not have authority to make decisions about what improvements will be made in buses and bus service, or which bus routes will be created or phased out. That authority lies with the 13-member Board of Directors of Central Midlands Transit, now known as the COMET. The responsibilities of the TPAC were defined by the Richland County Council when it created the committee in April 2013. There are about 6 or 7 of those, which I think I will not now read because I'm not sure that's going to help you much. But another major responsibility of the TPAC is to annually report to the public the TPAC's assessment of the implementation status of the county's transportation improvements financed by the penny. But it's important to understand that the TPAC's capacity to make this assessment is limited. Some people apply the words watchdog or oversight to the TPAC's role, but in light of the limitations under which the TPAC functions, neither word is really accurate. The TPAC's limitations include A, the delineated responsibilities Richland County Council has assigned to the TPAC. In other words, we have certain defined roles by county council. The part-time volunteer service of TPAC members who are citizens from all walks of life, not transportation experts. The scope and the complexity of the county's penny finance transportation program. The TPAC's lack of staff capacity to independently review the transportation program and otherwise consult with TPAC regarding the myriad dimension of the program's implementation. And finally, the TPAC is entirely dependent on the Richland County Transportation Department for the TPAC's operations. Now, keeping these limitations in mind, the TPAC is now prepared to give a grade of B to Richland County's 2014 implementation of the penny-financed Transportation Improvement Program. This grade is a subjective assessment. It essentially means that TPAC concludes that there has been reasonable implementation progress in 2014, but it could have been better. Certainly, implementation has not been as efficient or rapid as citizens impatient with ongoing transportation problems would like. It's important for the public to understand that following the passage of the 2012 referendum, transportation improvements were not shovel-ready. The county did not have, nor did it want to create a transportation bureaucracy within county government. Therefore, the county had to start largely from scratch to develop the organization and processes necessary to implement the penny. Developing the infrastructure to implement priority transportation improvements and navigating the relationships and rules to do so has taken nearly 2 years. But in 2014, the delay was aggravated in part by County Council's process for selecting the external contractors for the program development team and the on-call engineering team that will play major roles in assisting the county's transportation department to implement the penny. The council's handling of the selection process delayed for about half a year getting the program development team and the on-call engineering team on board. The TPAC believes that the small staff that constitutes the Richland County Transportation Department is demonstrating competence and professionalism in advancing implementation of the penny, particularly in light of the multiple governmental and contractual entities with which they must consult and collaborate. Finally, in the spirit of full disclosure, I need to say a word about the TPAC itself. As implementation of the penny has begun to pick up steam, and as the TPAC has gained experience with the program, the TPAC's role has become less clear. A concern is that the TPAC is often informed about matters of the penny implementation after decisions have been made, rather than ask for the committee's advice and recommendations before decisions are made. A notable exception, however, was the TPAC's November review and recommendations related to the draft prioritization of transportation penny projects. In response to the TPAC's concerns about its role, County Council's Ad Hoc Transportation Committee will be considering a motion for Council to further define the TPAC's role as having duties similar to those of the Planning Commission as a recommending body on any changes or addition to projects pertaining to the penny tax program. The TPAC also plans to take greater initiative in developing and bringing to County Council's attention recommendations for improving implementation of the penny. There are many indicators of the county's progress in beginning to implement the penny during 2014, and we will devote most of this evening to describing the accomplishments of the past year. For this, we will have presentations from several people most responsible for the day-to-day administration of Richland County's Transportation Improvement Program. Primary among these are Mr. Robert Perry, the County Director of Transportation, and Dr. Robert Schneider, the Executive Director of the COMET. They will summarize major accomplishments during the past year in implementing transportation improvements financed by the penny. We will hear first from Dr. Schneider, and then we will have a brief period for you to ask him questions. Following that, we will hear from Mr. Perry, and his report will also be followed by a brief period for questions. To keep the meeting within a reasonable time frame, tonight's focus on the state of the penny will not provide enough time for you to learn as much as you would like or to ask as many questions as you would like. For that opportunity, I encourage you to make use of the penny's Speaker Bureau. Any group, a community, neighborhood, political, or faith-based group of any size can request a knowledgeable person to speak to your organization and answer questions, and I encourage you to do that. To request a speaker, go to the Penny website at richlandpenny.com and complete the online speaker request form. You'll have to search around richlandpenny.com, but you can find it. We're now prepared to get to the meat of the program, and we're delighted to start with Dr. Schneider, the Executive Director of the COMET.
First and foremost, to repeat the thanks, Hayes, of course, the volunteer board, the volunteer TPAC Richland County Council, Members of City Council, the mayor who's here tonight, thank you for your support there. But more importantly, the voters, because without the action of the voters, we wouldn't be able to have the successes we've been able to enjoy to date, and it also wouldn't be funding what we need to strive for in the future. Also, our board of directors, Mr. Huggins is here, trying to scan the audience. I didn't recognize anyone else, but I do recognize, again, our passengers who are here, and they're the reason why we do what we do. We wake up every day for our passengers. I see Mr. Lewis, I see Derek, so good faces to see in the audience, and we're very thankful for that. Go ahead and do our second slide. What you see here is a lot of squiggly lines, and unless you're a rider, this doesn't mean a whole lot, but take a couple seconds. Jennifer Harding, board member, sorry, I just saw her. So that's what our transit system was in 2012. Go to the next slide. That's what our transit system is in September 2014. We've actually added a route or two that have joined that map, but as you can see, what you've got is it's lots of squiggly lines, but the lines are a lot longer. Now you see routes that are operating in the lower Richland area. We have rural transportation zones with flexible service that will pick you up and take you where you need to go, anywhere within that zones, and connect you in to our fixed route service. So really, we've added 30 miles of service to rural communities, which is something we weren't doing 2 years ago. What you don't notice if you're not a rider, our passengers know this, is our routes are smarter. Fewer twists and turns. They're simpler, easier to understand. Their numbering is tied to a little more geographical logic there, but it's more frequent trips. If you go back to 2012, even go back to 2010, we only had 2 routes that saw a bus every 30 minutes, or really every 40 minutes or sooner. Now we have 10. That's a really, really, really big deal in what we do. Think about when you travel, how frequent things are, how frequent the lights turn on a highway you travel, or think about how frequent the subway comes. For our passengers, that's our lifeblood. So it's very, very important to have that high frequency of service. We also have later hours. If you go back just to 2 years ago, we wouldn't be on the street past 7 p.m. Right about now, our buses would be pulling off the road. It's a whole different dynamic today. It's a whole different worldview. Our weekends, we have fantastic weekend service. Sundays are back. It's the best service in a generation on weekends, and our Sundays are the best that anyone can remember. And we're open 363 days a year. So we have service on the street all hours of the day, all times of the day. And our services from 2010 were restored, which has been a really big emphasis for us this past fall. As you remember, we had a 40% service cut way back in 2012 in order to balance our budget and prepare. We are back stronger and better. We've added technology. We have Google Maps trip planning, so you're able to plan your trip. You can track your bus by smartphone. You're able to purchase your pass through your smartphone, and you can do real-time tracking at the transit center. So we have all this technology that's available to you now, and we've seen our results. The biggest bang for the buck is our ridership. That lets us know whether or not it's a usable, rideable service. And as you can see, we've had a 50% increase in riders of 2012. A really great example is if you look at our lowest point when we were in summer of 2012, we were struggling to break 100,000 passengers in a month. We almost broke 200,000 passengers in October. So that would be a 100% ridership increase when you just look at the low and the high. So we're very, very excited. We anticipate breaking 2 million passengers this next year and beyond. So we're just beginning to take off, and we're really starting to see the results of it. We've more than doubled our transit service on the street. This number may not mean a whole lot, but we were at 225 hours a day. We're almost at 450. So when you look at our weekends and our later hours, we're actually putting more service on the street every single week. We've doubled our transit hours for our customers. And that's a really big deal for someone who's standing on a street corner right now on Bluff Road, or someone who's trying to access transit service on Garner's Ferry. Those are all examples of how these improvements have made a direct impact for our riders, long-time riders, current riders, and riders that we're going to attract in the future. We've also been able to add 11 new smaller propane vehicles. They're very neighborhood friendly. I was riding behind one tonight. If you've not seen them all over the community, they're very vibrant, very, very exciting to see. And we've really emphasized millennial marketing. Millennials are all backgrounds, all incomes, all racial demographics, all geographic demographics. It's anyone really identified as born after the year, graduating high school after the year 2000. They came of age in the new millennium. They have a different worldview. They've lived their entire life with a smartphone in their hand and knowledge of the internet. They've experienced the world with an environmental focus where recycling bins are very common, and they think about the world in a different way. They aren't tied to some of the things that have happened in the past. They're not Gen Xers, they're the next generation. And again, they're across all different neighborhoods. So much of what we're doing in terms of embracing technology is not as a takeaway, but instead to enhance. So as you look around, you see more and more of our riders either have smartphones or are migrating to smartphones. These are beneficial transit technologies that they're able to use today, and it makes such a huge difference. So the services, as we enhance them, we have to enhance them in all communities because millennials are in all communities, and that's a big part of our attention moving forward. Results, we've also had friendlier discounts and passes. Again, we wanted to make sure our longtime riders were taken care of. We've always had some type of half-fare program because the federal government requires it, but we took the extra step and expanded it to veterans, something that is not required anywhere ever. And also, you don't have to extend it to passes. What this means is if you're over 65 years old, or if you're a veteran, or you have other categories, you can ride unlimited transit in the Midlands for 65 cents a day. 65 cents a day, you can get your pass, you can ride. It's an outstanding deal, and it's for our longtime riders and our precious seniors and our honorable veterans. We also have the newer price 5-day and 7-day options. It's a great way it's very friendly for visitors. You can dip a toe in the water and really make a difference. And of course, all of these, as mentioned, are smartphone ready. Results, we've also expanded our county service, and this is one of simultaneously the things we're proud of. At the same time, we're challenged to deliver. When founded in 2002, long before when I had just started in transit, the authority was founded as an urban mass transit authority, and that was its focus. As we migrated through the penny and the board of directors started to make its decisions about what type of organization it wanted to be throughout the tail end of 2011 and the start of 2012, and through the penny, a rural focus and emphasis evolved. And that is something that continues to be something of critical importance to our board of directors. So the first thing that we absorbed this past year is a long-running service that serves the Hopkins, Gadsden, and Eastover communities. Although that's operated by our good friends at Santee Watery and has been this past year, we'll be absorbing that service officially. Comet buses, Comet technology. Right now you can access that schedule on our website. So we're already promoting that information, and we'll prepare moving forward on that. That should be in-house by summertime, and we're hoping for not just the same route, but more improved services across the board. So that's exciting. The other thing you noticed when I mentioned the flexible services on the map, there were 2 large zones, one in the northeast community, which is about a 10 square mile zone. That's a rural flex zone, and then what we also have is a low Richland flex zone. So both of those, we've drastically increased our footprint into county services, and that's just the beginning. The other component that we've been working on with the Council of Governments since early 2013, I've lost track of my months on that. But what they're doing is a rural transportation study. The old Central Midlands Regional Transit Authority was an organization that had been studied to death. And what that means is study after study, what are the financial implications? How could you improve the routes? Should you bring in smaller buses? Every time someone had a question, they would come in and then study those routes even further. So it was during summer of 2013 we started establishing our meetings with the Council of Governments and have a 2-county rural transportation study group. And that's led by the Council of Governments. That's what they are. They're a regional planning organization, and they're serving to do a study for both the Richland and Lexington County communities. That is 1,500 square miles of communities to consider. And that's not just, okay, this community needs service. It's what kind of service. And it's not just about whether service is there or not, but how can we reach into the communities. And that group is kickstarting this spring through some advisory panels and committees. If you're interested in being a part of that or being involved in that, please, as Hayes mentioned, you've got the richlandpenny.com website. You can definitely reach out, and we're more than happy to connect you with leaders. The single biggest challenge as expressed by that group is getting into the communities, identifying the elected and non-elected community leaders so that we're able to talk to people, talk to the citizens without really it doesn't have to be a forum like this. It can be a neighborhood meeting, it could be a church group, all of those types of avenues. We're very, very interested. And I've brought a stack of my business cards. They're up here at the stage, and they'll be here at the end of the meeting. If you have a personal interest in really getting involved in the rural transportation study, contact me and we'll definitely put you in touch with that program team. Forthcoming in 2015, and if you've been traveling around the Columbia area, especially Beltline, Rosewood, Hardin Street, you hope you have not missed these. These are our brand new transit bus stop signs, a combination of two things. Obviously more visible, but there's a partner sign which you haven't seen yet, which will have the route information. But a lot of those signs were put up 10 years ago. It's the older logo, but they're not reflective. Really hard for customers to get information, and it doesn't have any route-specific information. So these are really designed to be eye-catching, make it easier for customers to identify services. You'll also see shelters and benches installed in 2015. We've made our first shelter installation. It's a pretty big web of city guidelines and county guidelines and all the design requirements, so it took us several months just to get our contract prepared in order to move forward, so we're excited about that. We're purchasing 12 shelters out of the get-go. They'll be placed at locations like Targets, Walmarts, really visible areas, and we're also very aware we'll be buying smaller 8-foot shelters, but again, we'll take our time because not everyone in the community wants a transit shelter in their front yard. So we're going to be very cognizant of that moving forward as well. We'll have our additional service expansion. As mentioned, we're looking in moving further into the rural communities throughout the area, and we've got some areas in our system where maybe routes are ending a little sooner, or maybe make adjustments to connections so we can enhance that experience. And very exciting, we just got a grant approved very recently that will allow us to replace pretty much our entire DART fleet. DART is the dial-a-ride transportation. That's for persons with disabilities, but it's not just going to be limited to DART. These new vehicles will also be used to provide rural transportation. So that's the other key with getting these new vehicles in the fleet, on property, with the new technology and all those. It allows us to really expand our rural services program. Okay. Do you want to go next, or why don't you go next and we'll just do Q&A all at once? We're going to do it that way. Is that all right?
I've got to lower this to the height for people that can't ride roller coasters. Thanks, Bob, and I wanted to thank you, Hayes, and the TPAC for inviting me to come give a transportation update. Bob beat me out. He brought a prop. He must watch The Bachelorette or something. I don't have any props tonight, and I know you're all here to hear about the project, so we're just going to jump right in. But I want to thank the TPAC for allowing me the opportunity to present this evening, as well as members of County Council for allowing me to manage the program thus far, which has been a challenge. And I also see some of our partners from the city, and I'm excited to see them here because it takes a group effort to deliver a $1 billion program. I want to take care of some housekeeping real quick since it seems like we're starting to run into this thing. I want to make sure we get questions and answers from every citizen that has one. Hayes did a great job of talking about going to the county website, but we also, as you came in this evening, we have a comment card here. And hopefully if you submitted a comment card or have a question this evening, we can answer it tonight before we leave. But if not, or if you just do not want to stand up and ask the question this evening, please fill this out and get it in the box, email it to us, because you, the citizens, we deserve to give you an answer to all your questions, and I'm intent on doing that, whether it be tonight or following this evening. So again, please help us get your input and move on. And go ahead and get the PowerPoint going. Mine will probably be a little bit quicker, but I'm going to talk about really 3 big things: the history of the program, what we've done to date, and what you can expect to see this year. I'm not going to kill you with a lot of facts about the history of the program. I know Hayes touched on a lot of it. Some of this is repetitive, but I do think it's important to talk about. As all of you know, November 2012, the referendum passed. It had 2 questions. One was, are you willing as a citizen to support a penny sales tax to raise $1.07 billion or for 22 years, whichever one occurs first? And 2, will you allow the county to bond up to $450 million to help the projects get going quicker than 22 years? If you're like me, you don't want to wait 22 years to see your intersection improved or your road widened. And the voters said yes to both. Also in 2013, as Hayes elaborated, a Transportation Advisory Committee was established, 15-member citizens group that Hayes introduced. I was hired late 2013. And also in late 2013, County Council approved a small local enterprise ordinance, which Justine Jones is here to talk about tonight, which I'm not going to steal her thunder, but I'm excited that we have an opportunity to continue to get the word out about how important that program is to the county. Another bullet that's on that slide that's not on that slide needs to be pointed out is that Council approved ranking criteria for all of the projects in the program, which I'm going to get to the why, but it's important. 2014 rolled around, and as Hayes talked about, Council selected a program management team as well as 6 design teams, 5 on-call engineers, and 1 to be solely focused on delivering the dirt road program. Next slide. And here's a funding breakdown of what your $1.07 billion program entails. $300,991,000 to the Comet, $656 million to major roadway projects like widenings, intersection improvements, special projects, $80.8 million for bikeways, greenways, sidewalks, and $32 million for administration over 22 years. The next slide gives you a further breakdown. Again, it just gives you an idea of what all that means. We've got 14 widening projects, $276 million, 15 intersections, $42 million. The special projects includes Shop Road Extension, Innovista with the city, as well as Riverbank Zoo and some other projects. The program level projects are really 2 major categories that we get asked a lot about. There's $45 million for dirt road paving in the county. We have 236 miles of dirt roads, and $40 million for resurfacing of county maintained roads. And then the bottom you see greenways, bikeways, and sidewalks, which equates to, again, the 80.8. Next slide. Big thing I get asked is, how much money have you collected, how much have you spent, and how much money do you have? To date, we have collected $67.5 in tax revenue, $67.5 million. Even though the penny was passed in November of 2012, collections did not actually start rolling in until October of 2013. It had to roll through the state, the Budget Control Board, Department of Revenue. The county also approved bonding of $50 million. So $117.5 million has been available in funding for the program thus far. What have we expended? To date, $19 million has been given to the Comet, and Bob did an excellent job of talking about what those funds have gone towards. And the remaining $12.7 million have gone to some dirt road paving projects, the mitigation bank, which I'm going to talk about, and professional services contracts to design projects and manage the program on behalf of the county. So we have a balance right now of $85 million, and that's going to be important. So please keep that number in mind. Next slide. What have we done to date? Now that I'm past the history and the funding balance. County Council approved a mitigation bank in late 2013. Most people wouldn't understand the importance of it, but I do, coming from a transportation background. See, what some other counties and the DOT have had problems with in delivering major projects is they design a project and they have this great set of construction documents, but they can't get a construction permit from the Army Corps of Engineers to build it. Whenever you impact a wetland or a stream, you've got to do some mitigation, which would be some preservation and some restoration of some in-kind streams and wetlands. So what County Council did, and as far as their knowledge of where other programs have gone wrong, is they approved establishing a mitigation bank that not only will service the program, but that can also service the city as well as the DOT and mitigation if we have excess credits. I said in April 2013, Council approved ranking criteria. Well, this past fall, we ranked all the projects by category. As I talked about, we've got a diverse program. We've got bikeways, greenways, neighborhood improvements. So you had to rank those projects against each other to have a marching order of which ones to go after first. We also updated cost estimates because our cost estimates were from 2012. And the big thing is you need to have a good idea because it doesn't cost the same in 2015 or 2016 to build a road as it did in 2012. As you've all seen at the pump, the gas prices fluctuate greatly, and that asphalt index is tied to usually your fuel prices to a certain extent. That affects construction dollars. And we've prepared some policy manuals. You know, when I started back in August 2013, I had a desk, a lone computer, and this list of projects. That was about it. If you're going to deliver a billion-dollar program, as Hayes talked about the implementation, you need to have some policies and procedures. So we've developed right-of-way manual, utility manual, so that our partners, the city and the Department of Transportation, the utilities all know how we're planning to do our business and do it economically and efficiently. What projects have you seen so far? Probably not a whole lot unless you live on a dirt road. We've put 7 miles of dirt roads to pave construction in the past year. We have 236 miles countywide, so 7 miles isn't a lot, but this is just the beginning. We've also put 2 resurfacing contracts out. There's a total 11 miles. That's going to begin in the next 60 days or so, and will be finished this summer. We've advertised a lot of other projects that were in the newspaper before Christmas. We've advertised Green Street, which is a project working on with the city and the university, which is going to add bicycle pedestrian accommodations on Green Street, as well as build a foundation square in front of Colonial Life Arena that nothing like it exists in this state. It's going to be a 400 by 400 foot elevated square with trees and landscaping and lighting where events can be held, and you can take your family after one of the Carolina basketball games after the women beat Texas A&M. We've also advertised 6 design-build intersections. We had 15 intersections total in our program, and we've put 6 out for design-build construction. It was advertised December 18th, and we hope to have those under construction sometime this summer or out to a construction contractor. And finally, we've got our website up and running, which Hayes talked about, so you can see where your project ranks. You can see what the schedule is for the next 5 years. You can provide us comments and ask us to come speak. Again, from a transparency standpoint, that's imperative. Next slide. That's an idea of the program website, or just a screenshot of it. But again, you can go, the overview has the history of the program. The projects are obviously under projects, as well as our 5-year plan. We have a link to the comment under bus system. We also have the news and updates. So there's a lot of information out there for the general public. Next slide. The thing that I'm most proud of, and I talked about with the news media last week, and you might have seen this morning, was this document. I guess I do have a prop, but this is the County Transportation Improvement Program. It's better known, we've called it CTIP. This is our 5-year planning document for the citizens to see what we're going to do and when. This authorizes us to put $442 million into play through construction, right-of-way, and design over the next 5 years. So if you can look on it and you can see where your widening is planned to begin design, where it's planned to begin right-of-way acquisition, and when it's planned to go to construction. We have around 300 projects in the program, and I've already talked about the diverse categories. So you've got to have some type of document like this to give you your marching orders, your playbook, or your battle plan. So that's what this is, and it was approved by council December of 2014. And just to give you a quick idea of what you'll see on it is, let's look at Bluff Road widening, which is down not too far away from here. We've got preliminary engineering scheduled for calendar year 2015, $800,000. Calendar year 2016, we'll begin right-of-way acquisition. And calendar year 2017, we have it planned for construction. So all of the major projects that we have programmed through 2019, you can find on the CTIP. And the reason why I pointed out the $85 million on the balance, and it's not a slide, but if you go to page 13, it shows how much we need to deliver in calendar year 2015. Look at that, we need $85 million. So it shows we're in the black for the projects that we plan to deliver this year. Next slide. All right, I'm almost finished. I know your power pointed out. What projects can you expect to see this year go into construction? That's the big question we get. I talked about Green Street. We opened bids February 10th. Shop Road Extension, which is a 1-mile new location road through our planned industrial park between Pineview and Longwood. We intend to put that out for construction this summer. Hardscrabble Road widening. I don't know how many are here from the Northeast, but that's a widening project that's been developed by the Department of Transportation, but it didn't have enough money to go to construction. So thanks to the citizens, we made it fiscally solvent. We balanced that book so it can go to construction this year. So that project's going to be bid October of this year. Riverbank Zoo project, that's a pedestrian bridge to get those of you that want to take your kids to the zoo to get from the new parking lots to the new entrance over the railroad safely so you're not crossing an active railroad line. Three Rivers Greenway, and it's almost an $8 million greenway project. It's going to connect downtown past the zoo. One of the phases of that, we were going to get ready for construction to go to construction into this year. 6 design-build intersections, those are the 6 to 15. They're scattered throughout the county. And Lincoln Tunnel Greenway, that's one we hope to advertise in the next 60 days. We received final plans from the city just a week or so ago and some specifications. We're wrapping that thing up for advertisement. So if If you're a contractor, be on the lookout. And we're going to hit resurfacing, dirt road paving, sidewalks, and bikeways every year. This year we've got around $4 million for resurfacing, $10 million for dirt road paving, $3 million for sidewalks, and around $3 million for bikeways to go to construction. And finally, what's starting design this year? I talked about Bluff Road, but of the widening projects, Clemson Road, North Main, which has a Tiger grant, a federal Tiger grant of $10 million towards it. Bluff Road widening, Shop Road widening, next slide. Atlas Road widening, Pineview Road widening, and then the intersection of Clemson Road and Sparkleberry. They're all starting design this year because, as someone said, you can't just get them ready to go to construction right away. I think Hayes alluded to, you've got to design it, purchase the property, and then bid it for construction. And we're going to start design of phase 2 of Green Street, which will take where Green Street ends past Colonial Life Arena over the railroad and tie into Hugie Street. Other projects we're going to start design on this year. Southeast Richland Neighborhood Improvement Project. We had a public meeting in the fall. We got the citizens' input on what they really wanted in that neighborhood improvement project. And with that, we're going to start full design and collaboration and coordination with the Department of Transportation to get their approval so that we can get that one ready for construction. We have a lot of neighborhood improvement projects, $63 million worth, and we're going to begin design on the next one on the list, Broad River neighborhood improvements. We're going to begin design on a third greenway this year, Gills Creek Section A. And we're going to continue to do dirt road paving, county road resurfacing, bikeways, and sidewalk design. Next slide. And that's it. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but I wanted to get through it. That's our contact information. Please check out our website and give us your input because we want it. We really want to know what you think. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Justine Jones, who's going to talk about the Small Local Business Enterprise Program.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, we can do better than that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rob. And I'm excited to be here tonight. Last year at the State of the Penny, we did not participate, the SLBE program didn't participate because we were such a new program and we were just getting off the ground. So it's great that we're able to be here this year and share the accomplishments that we've had in this office in addition to those in the Transportation Department and in the comment. So I'm Justine Jones, and I oversee the Office of Small Business Opportunity and the SLBE program. And I'm responsible for ensuring that the mission and the goals and objectives of the division are satisfactorily met. I work in collaboration with staff people, one of whom is here tonight, Brenda Parnell. She's our Contracts and Compliance Specialist. And we've got another staff person who wasn't able to make it tonight. But in the interest of time, I know we're running very short on time. This is great information. So I've got a number of slides, but I'll probably skip over some of those slides so that we can try to stay on our timeline. Okay, thank you. Without going into great detail about the background of the program, it was created as a result of the passage of the referendum in 2012. And County Council wanted to ensure that small businesses had opportunities to participate in projects earmarked for completion through this tax. There are a number of benefits that are included with certifications which are given to firms that are eligible for the program. I won't go into detail about what those details are. We offer a weekly pre-qualification orientation, and anyone interested in hearing more detail about the program is welcome to come on a Wednesday. They're offered at different times, but they are offered every Wednesday, and hear more about the eligibility criteria, the benefits of the program, and what the certification process is like. Okay, so in terms of primary objectives, we'll go ahead and skip that slide. The purpose of the program is to support the successful development, growth, and development of for-profit small businesses. Next. Okay. Participants have a number of opportunities to take advantage of internal and external networks through our office, which help those businesses grow, develop, and access opportunities to work with Richland County and other agencies that support small business owners. The program, although it's race and gender, it's an inclusive program that serves all business segments across all business environments. Okay, so focusing on some of the major achievements in our program last year that we're pretty proud of. There were a number of achievements, but only a few are we able to share tonight. And two of these items are the prompt payment and commercial non-discrimination ordinances. These were created in direct response to some of the needs that small business owners expressed to our council in terms of some of the tools they needed to be successful and effective in their businesses. So the prompt payment ordinance ensures that we in Richland County, when we pay a prime contractor, that our expectation is that within 7 days, their subcontractors are paid. This is vital for small business owners because unlike larger businesses, they don't have the ability to float receivables for months on end. So this is a huge accomplishment for small businesses. We also have the commercial non-discrimination ordinance, which essentially says that although we are a race and gender neutral program, we look at the contracting activities of primary contractors to make sure that they have been inclusive in their contracting opportunities over the history of their firms. Okay, the other major accomplishment that we're pretty proud of is that there were 3 major solicitations that went out: the program development team, the on-call engineering team, and the dirt road paving teams. Within those 3 certifications, there were about 30 firms that were certified. Of those 30 firms that were certified, in that first group, the PDT, there were 23 of 25 applications that were approved. Of those 23 applications, 6 were actually selected to participate on the program development team that's been discussed earlier tonight. So this is a picture of the welcome orientation. And this is a picture of all the firms that were approved in that first class. Another major accomplishment we made was the implementation of a state-of-the-art management tracking system, which essentially tracks all the activities of our program. It tracks the dollars that are bid, the dollars that are awarded. It allows us to see where our program is succeeding, where we need to tighten up or focus our efforts. We can continue? Okay. So next year, another major development in our office was the creation of our office space. We actually are located in the health building, which is right next door to the Richland County building, and we moved into office space that was previously a health clinic. So in order to make it a business-friendly office that was appealing and welcoming to small business owners, we had to undergo some major developments. So you can see before and after. This is our logo, and this is our success conference room. This is our collaborative corner, which is what you'll see when you first walk into our offices. And this is our business center. This is where small business owners in Richland County can come and work in between appointments, or if they don't have access to computers or need assistance with their certifications, they can utilize our computer to do so. Okay, we had our grand opening just probably 7-8 weeks ago, November 19th, and we launched the program. We had our first public outreach meeting in early December. These are pictures from the grand opening. We can just quickly go through those. And as far as the PDT is concerned, this is the percentage of dollars that were committed to SLBEs. It actually is 51%, so that's very, very impressive. We're proud of that. Again, these are the 6 firms that are listed here that are represented on the PDT that are actually working now. So we're pretty proud of that. Okay, we can skip through that. Goals are to increase the number of certified firms and contractors capable and able to work on contracts that are coming out this spring. We offer educational opportunities to increase the development of the program, and we will continue working very closely with the Transportation Department to identify those programs or projects that are coming down the line and work with our participants to actually compete for those projects. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time. And Chairman, myself.
Well, as you can see from those presentations, there's a good deal to be hopeful about for 2015. And we will be looking forward to hearing reports next year. But now you have questions, and as I indicated, there's not going to be enough time for the questions that you have. I want to also emphasize again that it's really important for those of you at the community level, at the neighborhood level, social clubs, political clubs, faith-based groups, whatever, to ask for people to come and talk to you about the penny and about the implementation. And the person sort of in charge of that is Betty Gregory. Betty, would you stand up? She's the lady with the red sweater. If you want to leave here tonight and say to Betty, how do we ask for somebody to come talk to us, go up and talk to her. And if you want to indicate on your comment card that you would be interested in being contacted to have somebody come and talk to your group, please put it on your contact card and hand it in. So now we'll have a brief period for questions and answers. If you will raise your hand, I will recognize you, and we will have a microphone very quickly come to you. First question. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Barbara Adams Simons, and thank you, Honorable Hayes Mizell. The question that I had, you answered for me when you first made comments, so I don't have to follow that rabbit down the hole. I'll just direct my question in another forum with Richland County Council. So I have some follow-up questions, however. When you were talking about, not you, Honorable Mizell, but when the group was talking about the collection for 2015, and there were approximately $67.5 million that have already been collected, do you project that more monies will be collected for 2015 for this project? And do you project that the proportion of disbursements across all those projects, like paving, like resurfacing, et cetera, will be proportionately the same as in 2014?
Okay, Rob, why don't you answer that? I think the big answer to your first part of that question is, as long as you keep spending, the money will be coming in.
No, that's a great question. We have seen an increase from quarters of collections now. It has dipped at certain quarters, whether it be around Christmas, but you're right, they have gone up. But the thing about it is the way the referendum structure is, we collect up to $1.07 billion or 22 years, whichever happens first. So we're going to have to annually look at the collections to see if we're on target to balance our checkbook. As far as our spending, the second part of your question, as far as repaving and resurfacing and dirt road paving, it's going to change a little bit every year. We've got the dirt road paving spread over 4 or 5 years, whereas we've spread the resurfacing more over the 9 to 10 year. So we're looking at more of a 9 to 10 year program to deliver the overall $736 million in projects. So I think that might be the big answer you're getting at. But you're right, if we had a big decline in revenue for a year, we'd probably have to delay some things. Does that answer your question?
And I had one follow-up. The thing that I would ask that you remember, my story is the same as lots of people's stories here in the rural counties. I think it's fabulous, all of the things that you're projecting to do. But you got to remember that in the rural counties, part of our problem is that we've been waiting for paved roads for more than 25 years. And so what's going to excite us, as well as these big projects, are the little things like paved roads. That's going to get us really excited as well. And the final thing I would ask that you do, I heard the governor's State of the State address the other night, and I don't know how much of what she's talking about as it relates to decreasing the sales tax and the implications as it relates to roads and things like that. I don't know how much of that overlaps what you're going to be doing in terms of road repairs, because that may, at some point in time, if that passes, free up more of your monies with the penny tax to do some other stuff.
Okay, question back here. Yes, sir.
I have a question about the sidewalks. I want to know if the ones for 2015 have already been approved, and I would like to also know about the process about sidewalks, who make the choices, and where can you find a list of the ones that have already been approved?
Well, that's a great question, too. We've got in the list of projects, which was the big list, which I can show you. I'd be happy to show you. We had 56 sidewalks that were identified. A lot of those sidewalks were already requests to the County Transportation Committee. So I think Mr. Brown is here somewhere, but he could corroborate that we're actually doing a lot of sidewalk projects that have been requested for a long time. We've ranked the projects, the sidewalk projects, against each other, high, medium, low, and so we're going to attack the ones that rank the highest first. And I think I said we got around $3 million for sidewalks this year. Bikeways the same way. The bikeways, there was a list of 87 bikeways throughout the county. So those are the ones that rank the highest are the ones that we're going to do first. But there's not really discretionary funding for new sidewalk projects. We're going to attack the list of sidewalks and bikeways we have. But I'd be happy to share that list with you if you don't have it.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sir, sorry.
Good afternoon. My name is Odell Middleton. I'd like to know more about the Sharp Road extension. And I heard what you were saying about all the other projects, but I don't see anything that's really in the Lower Richland area other than the bus service.
I'd be happy to get with you on the Shop Road extension, and we can talk right now. The first, we broke it into 2 phases, Shop Road extension, because it's a $71 million project. When you look at 300-plus projects, you don't want to do one $71 million project and hold up 50 others. So that's why what we did is we looked at the big projects, like our Innovista project, which is $50 million, and we looked at the big projects and said, can we break them into phases? We did the same thing with the Three Rivers Greenway. It's $8 million. We said, can we break it into phases so we're not holding up development of another project? We're starting design of Shop Road Extension Phase 2, which is past the industrial park, which will eventually connect all of Shop Road to US Route 378. And we start that design, I believe it's 2017 in our CTIP. And we have right away, we'll follow that probably a year or two after. But whenever you do a new location road, it's not a quick process because you've got to have the public information where you present to the public multiple alignments and get their input on which ones they'd like. You also have to do a lot of environmental studies for wetlands and streams and cultural resources. So it's not as quick as jumping in to a brand new road project to make sure you followed all the criteria. And obviously we want to try and keep as many of our projects federally aid eligible so that if we need to go after federal funds, we've done it in that manner, which puts additional time. It is funny you said there weren't any major projects in this area, Lower Richland, because we're starting design on Atlas Road widening, Pine View Road widening, Shop Road widening, Bluff Road widening. So I believe that's in the Lower Richland area, but if there's some other projects that I've missed that are in the program, I'd be happy to talk with you about them. Sumter County, and there were plenty of people I knew that said, if you pave my dirt road, I'm moving. So this is the process that the county council has established. We have a public information meeting or outreach meeting. We're going to send you a certified letter if you're on one of the funded or unfunded roads. And those list of roads are on our website of which roads met the criteria. And one thing that I'm so appreciative that council did last spring is they allowed us to changed the ordinance for dirt road paving because the ordinance was somewhat outdated. It didn't take into account having $45 million for paving dirt roads throughout the county. So the updated ordinance, it gives precedence to the roads that have the most number of houses, churches, businesses. So we're trying to get the most bang for our buck. I call it a cost per occupant because we're trying to pave the roads that have the most people living in them or working on them with the funds available. So the good thing is you can go to the website and see if your road's in the funded or unfunded category right now. And we're hoping that line's going to move down, but it's like the young lady asked earlier about funding. We've got to see how we're doing on each construction season to make sure that that number can go down and get more roads. And as far as process goes, we're going to, those of you that are on a list, a road that's funded, we're going to ask if you'd like to have your road paved. That's the first step. You can sign a consent denial form, and if 25% or greater deny paving that road, we don't pave it, because again, we don't want to pave your road if you don't want it. If it stays in after that step, then we're going to go do surveys, and we're going to come back to property owners to get any easements we need to build that road. Typically, we get 50 feet, 25 off center of the road, and that's not just for the roadway itself, the 18 to 22-foot roadway, but it's also for the ditches and for our maintenance folks to be able to maintain it. And then once we get those easements, we're going to jump into construction. And again, council has directed us to get all the dirt roads done within 5 years. So I've got to get these things construction within 4. Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Mizell, Elise Bidwell has a follow-up she wants to share in a moment.
At richlandpenny.com. The projects are listed on that website. So you can go and click right on, I did it while I was sitting here, you can go and click right on sidewalks, and you can see all the sidewalks listed. Thank you.
My question is, and my name is Margaret Sumter. I heard you say that you're doing Pine View, the Atlas Road area, and you consider that Lower Richland. Lower Richland doesn't stop there. What are you doing in this area, from Lower Richland, Hopkins Middle School, to Eastover? She mentioned about repaving. How often do you ride these roads in this community? Sometimes you got to go on the other side of the road if you don't want to tear up your car to skip holes that's in the road. So what are you doing for the Lower Richland area as a whole? Hopkins, Gaston, Eastover. Do you have anything in your plan for this area? Not just, you know, I saw what I think this past summer, you did Trotter Road down there in front of Coffin Road Park. But what about the folks down in this area? I live on Harmon Road, and there was a big hole in the side of the road. I had to go on the other side of the road. And finally, they patched the hole up. So is this money going to be used to do things like that within this community?
Might as well just stay by the microphone. That's a great question. There aren't any funds for maintenance of roads, so any maintenance of existing county-maintained roads would still go through the county's Public Works Department. One of the big things that we get asked, and I was asked last Thursday, is my road a county road, a state road? Because as a citizen, you don't know. A lot of the time, you just know it's got a problem. So the first thing is if you ever need to know, come to me and we'll find out for you. And I'll have my contacts up here. As far as what we're going to do in Lower Richland for paving, for resurfacing, and for dirt roads, we just put out a contract for 4 roads in Lower Richland, which C.R. Jackson, I think, started on today. But it's a small one. It's less than a mile for the 4 dirt roads. We're going to do dirt road paving because Lower Richland has, or Mr. Washington's district has the largest amount of dirt roads in the entire county. So the largest portion of that available, $45 million, will go to paving dirt roads in the county. And then the $40 million in resurfacing for county roads. What some of you might see over the next month or two, you might see a white van with all kind of equipment on it and a camera going through your county-maintained paved road. We've got $40 million to resurface county roads, but we've got 540 roughly miles of county roads. And there hasn't been a study done to rate the condition of the roads. So to use your money, because it's your money wisely, we're doing a pavement management study on the front end to ride through, give us a letter grade, just like Hayes gave me. I always shoot for an A, but I'll take a B. But to rate your roads, to tell us which ones need to be done now and when, so we spread the $40 million in resurfacing the best way. And I know that doesn't totally answer your question, but we are doing resurfacing and dirt roads in Lower Richland, and I'd be happy to get you anything else I could get for you after the meeting.
Mr. Mizell, we are 8 minutes over our scheduled meeting, and at this time, I'd like for you to remind people about their comment cards.
Okay, let's have 2 more questions over here. Yes, sir. And then next, the woman sort of behind him, yeah.
Track days are over.
First off, I just want to say thank you for holding this meeting. It's very informative. My name is Jerry Riga. Maybe a suggestion, because you talked about state versus county roads, and that comes up a lot in my community as well. This may be a far-fetched suggestion, but may be possible to look into a website, just a map of the whole Richland County, and color code all those streets so you don't get 700 phone calls. But it'd be kind of nice to have a website that shows which roads are county, which roads are state, so somebody can look on that and say, okay, I need to call this person versus that person. Otherwise, you're going to get inundated with phone calls.
I didn't want to answer my last question by telling somebody to go to a website. But there is one. If you go to the South Carolina Department of Transportation website, www.scdot.org, and you go under quick links, there's a link called Street Finder, and you can type in any road name, and it'll pop up. If it pops up a state road number, whether it be secondary US or SC, then that's a state road. If it's not, then it's either going to be the county's responsibility, the city, or it might be a developer that didn't turn it in. But that's, whenever I get a call from one of you, that's the first thing I do is I go to the DOT Street Finder to look and check, and it's very helpful. So I hope y'all use that, but please don't hesitate to call us because we're here to serve.
Yes, ma'am. Last question.
Last question. Where are you
Right
pointing?
behind you, right there.
Hi, my name is Laura Grant. I live in the Lower Richland area. From the comments I've heard you speak on, you're widening Shop Road, Bluff Road, Atlas Road. The way I look at this, it seems to me that you're trying to make the traffic flow easier to USC. And Green Street, at phase 1, why is it that you put Green Street ahead of the people in Lower Richland County?
I'm going to step away from this thing first time. I'm starting to learn. Thank you for your comment, first and foremost. Maybe in the history, I tried to fly through it, so I didn't wear you out with a bunch of historical information, but the list of projects was established by a 39-member citizens group all over the county. You know, again, when I started, I got a list of road projects and 14 of them were widenings. And those projects were derived from the 39-member citizens group. So that's the explanation for which ones are getting widened and which ones aren't. As far as the Green Street project, I know Hayes talked about the expectation to get something going right away, and that one's ready. We have to try and get these projects out because if we delay, construction costs go up, and then if your widening is widening 14, it might not get done. So as these things get ready, if it falls within the priority ranking, we're going to try and get these things out of construction, especially right now when asphalt is, or when your petroleum or fuel is $2 a gallon. Typically asphalt prices follow your gas prices. So we're hoping our asphalt prices will be good this year. So that's the why Green Street. And it's not a focus for USC. I'm just delivering the projects that the citizens identified when they did the study.
All right. Thank you so much for your attendance. Mr. Faber.
Yes, 2 things. Number one, I need to recognize our vice chair of the comment board, Calvin Washington. Couldn't see him before, and not until I was sitting down there I could look back and see. Also, Daphne Givens from the comment staff, Tiffany James from the comment staff in the back, and then Larry Livingston and Jackie Bowers are here from Veolia Transportation. So those are the people that actually deliver the services every day. And the question you had is overview of it. Again, we're an organization studied to death, so what the challenge we've been is it's always been looking at what are the urban transportation needs. There's never been any rural transportation needs. So the encouragement of Richland County is funding the lion's share with definite support from Lexington County paying for their portion of the study, as well as federal grant dollars. A rural transportation study has been commissioned. The name of the firm escapes me, but the COG has identified that firm, and there's a big public outreach component that starts. The idea is to go through and identify the key components and areas of the 1,500 square mile area that is, in essence, the Midlands of these two participating counties. The study will then identify what is unique to communities such as Hopkins, Gadsden, Eastover, not to mention Pelion, Swansea, Lexington, the town of Lexington, it is still a suburban / edge of rural area. You've got the town of Chapin, edging up to Newberry. So those are all rural communities that have their population pockets. So what this study is designed to do is communicate directly with those organizations, those neighborhoods, church groups, et cetera. Ann, could you go ahead and stand up? This is Ann Morris. This is the wonderful lady who's been tasked with coordinating the outreach to the community. So if you're interested, please hook her or grab my business card so we can connect you in. But the whole idea is we're not taking what's called the law of the hammer, that once you get a hammer, everything needs hammering. Solutions that will work in Lower Richland may not work when they get to Lexington County. Solutions that work downtown Columbia will not work in Hopkins and Gadsden because it's just, there's different needs for each and every community. Plus, just to pick up a service and deliver it doesn't listen. When you go into a community and you ask citizens, what are you looking for? What are your needs? You're genuinely listening to what are the issues and the things that are important to that unique and distinct community. So that's very, very, very important to not just the leaders that initiated the study, but also to the individual team. And one of the reasons they were selected is that ability to bring in and listen, and to bring in the skill set to listen and cultivate that information. And it's not just an issue of Lower Richland or Lexington. It's also, we have to work through the challenges of limited English proficiency. We have to work through the issues of organizations that may not trust government services. So it's actually a really, really big undertaking to deliver this study and identify the types of services for those communities. Sorry it wasn't 30 seconds, but it's important enough to talk a little bit more about.
Thank you. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. These people will be around. You can collar them as individuals or obviously during their work days. Thank you so much for being here.